Beginning with an overview of the new third-party enhancement to Viva, we're going to start from the registration tab, and you'll now notice that there are differentiations between registration types. So here you can see these are listed as the other registration types, which is anything outside of a out license or completely InView owned registration. And then here you have plain registration, which is registrations that are fully owned by InView. And this is also where the out license registrations are housed. So you can now filter based on what you are looking for. So if you are looking for specifically other registration types, and then maybe specifically I'm looking for Me Too in licensed products, you can see those here. Or if you want to see the other registration type, so maybe something that doesn't hold or require registration, you can filter by those. So those are the considered other registration types, and then has a more descriptive third column here called, and you can see the different options. So we have no registration required, a distribution, an import, or maybe there's one that's unclassified. So if I want to see specifically import permits, I can hit apply, and I would see the listed registrations. For this portion of the training video, we're going to walk through how to create a registration record for some of the more non-typical registration types. So this is going to be any registration that does not fall within the boundaries of a fully InView registration that's pretty classical, or a Me Too in-license registration. So we're going to begin here again from the registration page. Click on Create Registration. Select Other Registration Type. Other registration type, there we go. Continue. And then from the first drop down, we'll select again Other Registration Types. This is going to give us some options that you see here. So we have import permit and no registration required. So this section, information section, gives you descriptions on which to select. In this example, I'm going to go with no registration required. So this can be something like in the US, you have what's called a 25B product that doesn't require federal registration, but requires state registration. I know there's some other examples in a few other countries in South Africa as well that are similar to this. And so this would be where you would use this option. So again, we will go with the same as before, filling in the basic information about the product, and then moving it to save. So similarly to our previous videos, we have some drop-down checklists for you to follow. So begin by adding a trade name. And then next, you're going to add a product involvements. So this can be if indeed you is the full owner, but registration is not required. It is good to still document that information. So maybe we have the situation that InView is the registration and the data owner of this product. And then it's just that no registration is required because of the type of registration it is. I made a comment there. And then remember, you can do save and create to add an additional option. If you perhaps wanted to do that, you could. Next would be your option to add any registration actions, if that is what you would need to do at this time. So because this is a more wide open registration type, you may at this time have a submission that you're making to an authority, even though the registration is not required, or to another company. So depending on that situation, you can add that here in document. Next, we would add a label if applicable. So if there is a valid label associated with the product, you would add that here, as well as any production sites be added to this section. All right, now that you have completed your checklist and added again any local documents or emails as well to the attachment section, you can move the workflow or the registration directly to approved. I do want to note that if you had selected a import permit, you would be given the option for an additional drop-down, and you could select that. And you would also then have the option to move the action to submitted or approved. So for this registration type, you have the option to choose submitted or approved. But because we are working with, in this example, a no registration required, there's no reason for a submit option. And so go directly to approved in this case. So we will do that now, change state to approved. And you'll be prompted for some information. So the approval date, the registration number. If there is not a registration number, you can simply put not applicable. Decision, registration result. So what kind of registration is this? Is it considered a full, unconditional? And then the registration name. And start. And that will move the record to approved and also complete the information automatically in the registration details section for you. Once these other registration type records are in the approved state, you can treat them just like you would any other record. So we need to make sure we're keeping them up, the specification up to date, as well as any registration actions that are completed surrounding this record we can add here, and the process would work very similarly to a normal registration.